This is the Inside Data Center podcast. We talk to the people who power the data center sector to give you insider info on everything happening in DC today. Here's your host, Andy Davis.
Welcome to the Inside Data Center podcast. Today I'm joined by Nicola, Giuseppe and Rory, three of the founders of Data Center Marketing Club. Good morning all.
Morning.
Good morning. Morning, Andy.
Good to see you. Sadly, Adam from KO is not with us today, but we're representing the marketing community in this podcast. We've got the first masterclass happening on the 22nd of May, which as we record this is probably just under 4 weeks away, I'd say, 3.5 weeks. So we wanted to give the listeners a bit of an insight to the marketing club, what we're trying to do, what we're trying to achieve, but also share a bit about this event that's happening in London in a few weeks. Before we go into it, I'm not going to try and introduce you all individually. I think it'd be easier if you do it yourself. So Giuseppe, do you want to give a quick intro?
Absolutely. Thank you, Andy, for having us. Giuseppe, leading marketing in ADK, being in Schneider Electric many years ago, and then software for 7 years. Now finally back to the data center marketing team.
The world of data centers. And Nicola?
Nicola Hayes. I split my time between currently being non-exec director for Platform Markets Group and also in academia, corrupting the next generation of marketers through teaching them for 3 years at a time.
Creating the next generation of marketers. And Rory, finally, over to you.
Thanks, Andy. Yeah, I'm Rory Flashman. I am the managing director of a public relations, PR and podcasting firm called Spark Communications. We specialize in digital infrastructure. So all of our clients are either startups, scale-ups, or Fortune 500 businesses, and work across the spectrum of data centers, renewable energy, and AI, and so forth.
And we've also got Adam from KO, who's not with us, but Rory, you can give an intro to Adam. You know him probably better than anyone else.
Yeah, fair play. Adam is VP of marketing at KO Data. Again, one of our longest standing clients. I've worked closely with Adam now for 5 years. He would tell you much more about himself than I can, but I will say he is an avid West Ham fan. That's probably his biggest passion point outside of marketing.
Which is not great, but as we were saying on the chat yesterday, I'm a Southampton fan, so I can't say anything about football right now. But so we've obviously quite a broad mix of individuals trying to bring together the marketing community, and that's I think that's why it works, hopefully, and that's why it'll be successful. We all come from a different eye within the marketing industry. I think a good place to start is why we started this community. And Giuseppe, I think you're the man for this question. It was your idea as far as I'm concerned. So what's the why behind Data Center Marketing Club?
Oh, that's a very simple story. Thank you, Andy. When I came back to the data center industry, that was July 2024. After many years in software and SaaS, I was honestly surprised to find there was no proper marketing community in the data center business. In SaaS, communities are everywhere, maybe too many, but usually there are spaces where marketers can share learnings and challenge each other thinking, grow, sustain together, and so on and so forth. But in data center, there was nothing. And I remember waiting until September 2024 and attending one of the data center data center club nights organized by you, just to finally meet you, Andy, and a few other peers. So that's really where the idea of the data center marketing club came from. And then, the rest of the history, I was in touch with you and Nicola and Rory and finally Adam, and the idea basically became reality.
Yeah, and I think from my perspective, it was important. I think community can change everything, as I say all the time, and it was really important to be part of it. So I'd like to know why you guys wanted to be part of it as well. So Nicola, let's start with you. Why when Giuseppe kind of made the call as such, why was it important for you to be involved?
Oh God, I got really excited when he gave the call. It's something that I've been thinking about for quite some time. And that lack of community, that lack of being able to share best practice. in an industry that is still very, very sales-led, where marketing in some parts of the industry doesn't necessarily get the attention and respect it deserves. And huge amounts of companies that I work with, large companies, that have one marketing person and their entire job is to do everything. And those people are not usually taught very well. They've not got peers that they can go to. And I think that that is a huge, great gap across the whole industry. And so anything we can do, one, to share best practice in an industry that is so tech heavy that we need to find better ways of getting stories across, in an industry that, you know, has grown up over 20 years via a certain route that isn't necessarily marketing focused. I think having a community of people that can just get together and share horror stories, share best practice, and support each other is an absolutely brilliant idea. I was delighted when Giuseppe got in touch with me about it.
Yeah, agreed. And Rory, you also got the call.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, I always joke that for me it was like right place, right time, and that my job is connecting people, right? But honestly, I couldn't echo what Giuseppe and Nicola are saying more, to be honest. Like, it's all about collaboration, meeting our peers, bringing them together, sharing best practices. I mean, I've been very, very lucky to work with lots of senior leaders in the industry and to really just sit quietly in a room and learn from them, or learn from them. And these are people that I consider the very best at what they do. So how can we create a forum where we can share that expertise more broadly, and frankly create a platform where marketers, PR pros and so forth can really kind of learn from one another and champion best practice. That was it for me.
Yeah, agreed. And I think the community aspect is always important to me. I think one thing this industry has never been great at is bringing people together. So if we can just bring people together, they can make friends, you know, they can have a coffee or a beer together, then, you know, it's a win for me. We were chatting before we went online about the importance for the sector and the general PR marketing challenges around our industry right now, and how it's gone from being back page news to front page news, how nobody really cared what we did, or we wouldn't tell anyone what we did, to now everybody wants to know what we did, and everybody has an opinion. So I wanted to get your views on that. Like, why is it important for the sector that this community is created to try and help, I guess, change the way we're perceived as an industry? That's a big question. Nicola, let's go with you first.
Oh God, I mean, you've hit the nail on the head. You know, we used to be very, very under the radar. And it was quite embarrassing when people asked what you do and what sector you worked in, because nobody had a clue what you did. Quite the opposite now. We've got a huge PR problem. I mean, I wrote an article 2 years ago now on this, the fact that the industry as a whole globally needs to get its act together in terms of being able to give the other side of the story. So we get a lot of bad press about the fact that data centers are obviously single-handedly damaging the environment, when data centers don't create energy usage, end users do. And I think we need a unified approach to that, whether it's when marketers are contacting journalists, when people are doing interviews, but also making sure that people have the tools under their belt to be able to counter and give the good elements of what we do as an industry and the efforts that go in terms of that energy usage. Because if the industry wasn't putting so much effort into reducing energy usage, then actually we'd be in a lot worse state than we are now, bearing in mind the increase in uptake in usage and AI, etc., etc. I think Rory's very well placed for this one, because, you know, from that PR perspective, you must be dealing with this on a very regular basis.
All the time, Nicola. Yeah, indeed. And in fact, this is a big part of this is kind of where was why I kind of connected Giuseppe with Adam, and we brought him into the fold for this, because we've been talking quite a lot about our industry going above the parapet and the challenges and the opportunities that come with that. You know, if we look back to like last year, for example, there was loads of change around kind of data centers, the red tape being removed and data centers being allowed to build on the green belt, and the impact that might have on our industry in terms of like negative perception. That's just one example. But there is a massive misunderstanding and negative perception that goes with this industry. That's something that compounds the skill shortage that we have, as I'm sure it does with kind of other large scale infrastructure industries. No one knows what we do, you know, our role in kind of wider society. And I think as an industry, if we can do exactly that, if we can kind of do a better job of getting our stories out there, we can begin to move the dial and really showcase that the industry provides a platform for kind of innovation, a platform for sustainability, a platform for business, a platform for the economy. So yeah, I think it's something that all of our clients have to deal with all the time. But frankly, having good stories showcasing how data centers are supporting customers in life sciences or anywhere else, that's the thing that's going to move the needle and help to kind of change the perception.
Well, I second all things that Rory and Nicola said. I think broadly that the industry is at a crossroad today, and at the same time, I mean, this is presenting a storytelling and narrative opportunity for all of us. Because the question is, how can we effectively communicate the essential role of data centers and how the data centers play, while at the same time highlighting our daily effort in energy efficiency, sustainability, community impact. This is frankly, I mean, one of the questions we are trying to answer during the event in a month from now, and we are inviting people who may provide some answers. So that's really one of the key points that led us to organize the event in a month from now.
So Andy, why did you decide to join our group of weird marketing misfits?
That's a good question.
Indeed.
I think I'm not a marketer, which is one reason. I love to learn from other people that are in the industry and have a different perception. I think community is always my driver. Like, it's always, I think you can achieve so much if you bring people together. And I just feel that I only work in the data center industry, and other industries may be different, but there just isn't that opportunity to get people together. It's the events and everything have always been data center sector, which is great, and those events are great for what they do, but there's so many like micro communities within the industry that could really impact change, but they just need to get together to be able to do it. And I think marketing, I've learned through business that marketing can be an absolute game changer for your business, and whether that's your personal brand, your company brand, but I've also learned aspects around how you can communicate with a large audience to draw people in. And I've learned all that by doing it. So now I'd like the opportunity to learn from people that have been doing it and are actually trained and educated within it. So, but community for me, I wanted to, when Giuseppe said to me, I want to start this group or association, or it wasn't anything at that point when we had a coffee in London. It was like, I just want to get people together. I said, well, just use Data Center Club to draw it in, and then let's see where it goes. And obviously we had the event in London before Data Center World, which seems like a lifetime ago, but it was last month, I think, wasn't it? Seems like months ago, where I don't even know how many people turned up, but a lot of people turned up, had some great conversations with people. And I think that just demonstrated that we're onto something here, and not in a commercial sense, but in a way that we can actually help people and we can change the perception of this industry. I was laughing when you were talking about the perception, because I read an article the other day about 1,000 megawatt data center in Lincolnshire, and I was thinking, I haven't read the planning document yet, but I've no doubt at all that that's just the only aspect of that planning document that media publication has picked up on. Which again, it's not a race to be the biggest, it's a race to be the best. And so things like that is why it's important to me. And Giuseppe, you mentioned the event 22nd of May, not long now. The agenda, we've obviously worked together quite heavily on kind of trying to get some points across of what we feel is important to the industry. Do you want to give a quick insight into some of the topics we're covering and what people can expect if they come along?
Absolutely. I think there are three main points we're trying to address. Well, the first is community, storytelling, narrative, which we already mentioned. The second is, I think there is some kind of misconception that marketing in our sector has to be overly technical and driven by activation lead generation, but that's absolutely not true. I mean, the foundation of marketing, brand building, positioning, storytelling, they don't change just because our product is more complex than others. So that's something that we want to clarify also during the event. And finally, I think the third point is, are we as a marketer in a position today to feel confident presenting to boards, CEOs, CXOs, leading strategic conversations, owning our seat at the table? I don't think we are. It's not our fault. I mean, marketing has not been growing at the same speed of the industry overall, in my opinion. So what we will try to do is also providing tools and the platform to marketers in general to grow confidence in what they do and be in a position at a certain point to address, branding and all the things we do in front of a board. So these are really some of the points we are trying to address: storytelling, community, marketing foundation, and I'm sure Nicola can explain why we are also inviting people who are not data center marketers based on this point. And finally, providing tools to marketers to be in a position to, again, address CEOs and CXOs.
It's about confidence building, isn't it? It's all of those,
Yeah.
You come into a job with marketing, and if you're in a big B2C company and you've started off in a Pfizer or a Diageo, you've got a raft of internal training, you've got people that you can learn from, and it's a machine. Whereas we don't tend to have that in one or two companies, the larger ones maybe on the M&E side, but not across the industry. So it's trying to work out how we can get some of the support there, but also some sort of training and learning as well. So I liken it when I'm talking to my students. If you go straight to lead gen and activation campaigns, it's like putting the roof on before you've actually built the foundations. You might get somewhere, but it's going to fall down at some point. You need to put the foundations there. And that's why we've started on the topics that we started on this time. It's the foundations of marketing, the foundations of business growth, our brand. When you're in a growing market or something very, very small, absolutely you can focus on networking and sales. But the minute you're in a mature market, quite often the only differentiator, regardless of what your sales engineers tell you, is your brand. You might have a product that is run by the best technology in the world, but your customers don't generally give a flying two about that. What they want to know is what it's going to do for them. So it's that whole features versus benefits thing, which quite often companies miss. So starting right at the ground floor, which is brand, building your brand, creating a standout brand that differentiates yourself. Something that Giuseppe, obviously, through AVK has been through very recently. It was starting with that. And then the other part that is often missed is that telling a story. And all marketing and all business, to be perfectly honest, is about how good you can tell your story. So the idea behind the themes that we've chosen for this first one, we could have had a 5-day event covering everything, are those foundations, brand and storytelling. And as Giuseppe said, it will be a mix of very senior marketers that have got a long history behind them in the industry itself, but also people from other areas of B2B, and in some circumstances B2C, to show us what practices we can actually then start using within our own marketing that are proven, tried techniques that actually will aid when it comes to that lead gen and activation activity.
And Rory, what about you? Obviously, similar to me in a way, where it's kind of like, we're not, Nicola and Giuseppe are the experts in the room in regards to that. We're the community people and the links to a lot of it. But from your perspective, what I guess what you're hoping to get out of the event rather than what the agenda.
For me, it comes back to what we said at the beginning. To be honest with you, like marketing, branding, PR, storytelling, they are transformative, and just like every other industry, they are changing. So for me personally, this provides us a forum to share best practices, to share the examples of where we've had to pivot in some respects and completely change a brand strategy or a go-to-market strategy, and then retell that story in order to kind of communicate clearly, concisely, and with relevance to customers. And really more than anything, just to learn from one another. I think Nicola's touched on a really important point there, which is we're not just looking at this from kind of like an inward industry perspective, everybody's speaking to each other in the echo chamber. What can our industry learn from other sectors? And actually, what can we learn from each other at the same time? I think that's one of the best things about this. And to be honest with you, the community aspect of it is just that. I'll be honest with you, Andy, like I'm the person who's always behind the scenes. I create the opportunities for our clients. That's my job. So being forced, gently encouraged to go and stand on a stage and share stories and all of those sorts of things and engage, it's certainly outside my comfort zone for sure. But the opportunity to kind of be involved in something like this with Giuseppe, with Nicola, with Adam, with yourself was just, it was way too good to miss.
Really
but the way, yeah, and Rory, by the way, you mentioned something critical in my opinion, learning from other industries. I mean, that was really one of the problems I've seen in SaaS and software so many times. SaaS marketers just talk only to other SaaS marketers. I mean, that was really the problem. And things about tactics, they were repeated again and again. If you think about short-term marketing tactics, which are very popular in SaaS, I mean, they completely deteriorated the brand values in software. So we want to avoid, of course, these problems back in the data center business, and that's the reason why we need to learn from best practices of other industries. I mean, in the end, marketing is a transferable skill. Education and training should reflect that, and that's basically what we're trying to do with the masterclass in May.
And I think with this industry, with this industry having grown so quickly, what you've got is a lot of new marketers coming into the sector that actually have come from different industries and can tell us what they did at company A or company B in a different sector, as well as having the ability to draw in those speakers that can give us that broad experience. I think the industry undervalues the people within it massively. It doesn't realize the potential of some of the people that are there, and hopefully from a marketing perspective, this will give them the forum to kind of actually have their say. And people like you, Rory, who have so much to add, you need to come out from behind the scenes. And like, jokes aside, sometimes it needs something like this to do it. Like, you need to give those people the platform. Like, it's Nicola, you'll know this from doing events, like, it's giving people the confidence to be on stage. It's like, you need to help these people come out, but they can give so much back because they've not told their story before. So it's important. But sorry to interrupt, Rory.
No, all I was going to add to what you and Giuseppe were saying, Andy, is that the learning never stops. I think whatever job you're in, whatever role, whatever industry you're in, the learning never stops. And that applies absolutely to marketing, even more so to PR. All of us and everyone who will be in that room is kind of in a position now where, like, AI is going to transform our industries from copywriting to storytelling to creative. And actually, we're all about to go on another huge learning curve. And I think I use the term "we're only just getting started" all the time. That couldn't apply more here, both to the community, what we're doing together, but certainly for our industries as well.
Part of it as well is giving people the actual confidence in an industry that doesn't necessarily always give marketing the respect it deserves. It's seen as an add-on to the sales function. The confidence to be able to say, look at what I'm doing, look at the impact I've made on the business. And especially when you've got people that are maybe more junior or younger in their careers, it's very difficult to be able to do that. And so when you've got your board saying, well, why are we spending all this money on a new brand? Or why are we spending all this money on all these people creating content? It's having those answers that make sense and that relate it back to business growth to be able to then justify what you're doing. And I think, if nothing else, if we can give, a range of 100, 150 people the confidence and ability to go and do that with their boards, then we're doing a good job.
Yeah, and on to the event before we close up. It's not long now. Who do we want to attend? And I know that sounds like a very broad question, but who do you think people listening to this podcast should be sending it to in their companies and saying, you need to go to this event? Giuseppe, it's a good one for you.
Well, I think the main focus is marketers, creative, PR professionals, but it's quite frankly very open to other side functions. I mean, I'm thinking about sales or business development. I mean, they are always our partner in growing brands and growing businesses. So while the main focus, of course, is marketers, creatives, and that's the intention, and that was really the first goal when we thought about creating an event for the first time. At the same time, I would say it's not necessarily limited to them. Anyone who want to learn how to, anyone who want to listen to best practices in the marketing environment in the data centers is absolutely welcome to the event.
Yeah, and I think it's...
Sorry, Andy, I just said I'd love to see some CFOs there that can sit there and realise that actually when people come asking them for more budget,
that would be interesting,
they should give
especially when we talk about ROI, right? Yes.
No, all I was going to say is I think, again, as a non-marketeer, the value of marketing to me, if I'd have known what I know now 10 years ago, I know that I would have been much more successful than I have been. So I think, yeah, I would go echo your point, Giuseppe. Anybody that feels that branding or marketing or whatever, it can help them in their career journey, you might want to come along and just sit and listen and learn, and hopefully you can take that forward in your career. But it's I was just getting the details up on my phone to try and remember when it is. May the 22nd, Norton Rose Fulbright in London. How can we get tickets? Eventbrite, I believe people can register. Obviously,
correct,
on
Eventbrite.
There's a LinkedIn community group, Data Center Marketing Club. You can find details on there. Obviously, you can message any of us.
Community. We already have 250 people in. But yeah, LinkedIn, Eventbrite. We have a website which is datacentermarketingclub.com. All of them are good for registration.
Oh,
Yeah,
I think we need to say also a really huge thank you to Norton Rose, because obviously
yes.
what we probably haven't got across is this is just us and supported by our companies giving up our own time to do this. This isn't a profit organisation. We have no income stream, so everything we're doing is on a bit of a wing and a prayer, but very, very professionally done. So without Norton Rose Norton Rose Fulbright, and particularly thanks to Kirsty Harrower, offering the use of their event space, we'd really struggle to be able to hold events like this free for the community. So thank you, Kirsty, and thank you, Norton Rose Fulbright, for supporting us on this.
Yeah, very well said. And I think, again, another great example of community, because this industry is a great community, but you do have to kind of access it, get in there and start having those conversations. And I'll put all the ticket details and everything in the show notes of the episode, so people can click them and say if they can't find anything, they want to ask us any questions, reach out. But my final question, which we probably don't even know the answer to yet, is what's next for Data Center Marketing Club? Like we're not that old, really. We're quite a young pup. We've been going. I think we've achieved a massive amount in a very short amount of time. But I think, again, this is probably a question for you, Giuseppe. What would you like it to achieve in the, say, mid to long term? If we look back in a couple of years and we're sat having that coffee again in London, well, patting each other on the back, what have we achieved?
Strong global international community, first of all, of marketers. Pretty well educated in marketing foundation. That's really the key point for me. Well, that's really it. I mean, I think it is already a bold objective to achieve, and we're already thinking about what's next for the club. I think Nicola has some great ideas in terms of mentoring, but we need to sit down at a certain point and understand what the next steps will be.
Yeah, run before you can walk, isn't it?
Yep.
But no, and I think, and also from the community perspective, obviously, Nicola, you're heavily involved in it, but we are happy to talk to organisations that want to be involved. If individuals feel they can be involved, we want this to be a real sector community. So if you think you can be involved and you can help us in any way at all, please, again, reach out to any of us. We'll put you in touch with whoever the right person is in that particular topic. But I've had messages from people from the USA who want to set up communities in the USA, people from Asia that would love to do it in Asia. So this does have legs, and it will grow, but one step at a time. So
also, Andy, we welcome media and publication to spread out the word, considering that it's really the very first data center marketing club that is organizing this kind of stuff. Yeah,
very good point. And has anyone got anything else to add before we wrap this up for the day? Friday morning, sun shining in the UK for once. We need to do some work, but we also need to get out in the sunshine. So
it's been great. I mean, we've done you just said it. We've achieved a huge amount in a couple of months, really. The first networking event, it showed there was a need for this. We were inundated with people who wanted to attend and who turned up. But it's just been great working with you all. So, you know, doing something that is worthwhile, that is helping the industry, that is helping young people as much as anything else, which is a passion of all of ours, and working with you lot. Happy days.
Yeah.
What more could you want?
Exactly.
Shout out to Adam. Adam, you're part of that as well, even though you're not with us. But no, thanks all. Anyone listening, will obviously, hopefully, we'll see you at the event in a few weeks. But if you can't make that event and you want to be involved, as I said, just reach out. I'll put all the details in the show notes for the event, the website, the community, etc. So you should be able to find everything there. But if you can't find anything, just reach out to us and we'll point you in the right direction. But thanks all. Have a good weekend.
Thanks, Andy.
Enjoy the
Thank
sunshine.
you. Thank you, Andy, for having us.
Cheers, Andy. You too.